A single dad saved the female CEO's life, then disappeared into the crowd without saying a word. The city hummed with energy, flying cars, zipping between buildings and crowds moving like rivers through the streets below. It was a world of neon lights and constant motion, a city that never seemed to pause. Among the many people walking on the elevated skywalks, Emma Raines moved with purpose. Emma, CEO of Rainstech, one of the largest tech corporations in the city, was no stranger to crowds. She walked with calm confidence, her sharp eyes scanning the people around her. Her black blazer and crisp white shirt made her stand out, but she seemed almost invisible in the throngs of people. For Emma, this was normal. She had learned to move quickly, to focus on her goals, and to ignore distractions. But on this day, she couldn't ignore the subtle unease in the air. Something felt off. Perhaps it was the way the crowd seemed to shift slightly, as if people were moving around something she could not see. Perhaps it was her instinct, honed over years of corporate battles, telling her that danger might be near. Across the walkway, in the same crowd but moving in the opposite direction, Mark Hale walked briskly. He looked ordinary: jeans, a simple jacket, a backpack slung over one shoulder. His eyes were calm but alert, always scanning, always observing. To the casual observer, he was just another man walking home after a long day. But in truth, Mark's life was anything but ordinary. He was a single father, raising his 8-year-old daughter, Leela, alone. He had a modest apartment in a quiet neighborhood, and most of the world would never guess that he had skills that could rival elite security agents. Mark's life had been shaped by necessity and responsibility. Years ago, he had been trained in unconventional combat and problem-solving, but that part of his life was behind him. Now, his focus was simple: protect his daughter, live quietly, and avoid drawing attention. But fate had a way of pulling him back into chaos. The first sign of danger was subtle, a flicker of movement near the skywalk's railing. At first, no one noticed. Then a small, mechanical drone appeared, its sleek metallic body reflecting the neon lights. At first, it seemed harmless, just a surveillance drone or one of the many delivery machines that filled the city. But Mark's eyes caught the irregularity. Its sensors glowed red, and its path was erratic. Emma noticed it too, but she didn't have time to think. The drone moved faster than any human could anticipate. Its trajectory shifted directly toward the crowd, and in that instant, instinct took over. Mark was already moving. He pushed past people without hesitation, his mind calculating angles and distances in seconds. He reached Emma just as the drone descended, spinning out of control. "Watch out!" he shouted, grabbing her arm and pulling her to the side. Emma stumbled but remained on her feet. She looked up in shock as Mark used a small metal rod he grabbed from a nearby vendor's stall to intercept the drone. Sparks flew as metal met metal, and the crowd screamed, scattering in all directions. The drone wobbled, sparks flying from its circuits, before it finally crashed against the skywalk's railing and fell into the street below. Emma's heart raced. You saved my life," she gasped, looking at the man who had just acted like a ghost among them. Mark didn't answer. He simply nodded and stepped back, slipping into the crowd as if he had never been there. People turned to look, but he was gone, absorbed by the sea of faces. Emma stared after him, disbelief and curiosity mixing in her mind. Who was that man? How had he known exactly what to do? And why didn't he stop to explain, to introduce himself? The city's security drones buzzed in the air, scanning the area for the cause of the incident. Emma activated her personal communicator. "Security, review the footage." "I want everything on that drone incident," she ordered, her voice steady despite her pounding heart. Meanwhile, Mark had already put distance between himself and the skywalk. He moved through alleys and side streets, careful to remain unseen. His calm exterior masked the adrenaline that ran through him. He had done what he needed to do, but there was more at stake than just saving a CEO. He had noticed the drone's design, a prototype he had only seen in intelligence reports years ago. Someone was testing dangerous technology, and he didn't like the signs. Finally, Mark reached a quiet street near his apartment. The neon lights faded, replaced by the soft glow of street lamps. He paused for a moment, taking a deep breath. Leela was waiting at home, probably finishing her homework or watching her favorite show. He smiled faintly, the weight of the day lifting slightly as he thought of her. Back on the skywalk, Emma couldn't shake the image of the man who had saved her. She replayed the moment in her mind over and over, his quick thinking, his calm confidence, the way he seemed to know exactly what to do without hesitation. Most people would panic in that situation, but not him. Something about him was different. Emma's assistant, Jordan, approached cautiously. "Emma, are you okay?" he asked. "Yes," she replied, her eyes still searching the crowd. "But we need to find him. Whoever he is, he might be the key to understanding this attack, and we need to thank him." Jordan frowned. "Do you really think we can find him in this city? It's like looking for a needle in a haystack." Emma didn't answer. Her mind was already working, calculating, planning. There was something about the way he moved, the decisions he made. It was as if he could see things that others couldn't. She didn't know who he was, but she knew she needed to find him. Meanwhile, Mark unlocked the door to his apartment and stepped inside. Leela ran to him, her small arms wrapping around his legs. "Dad, did you come home late again?" she asked, her voice a mix of curiosity and concern. "I was helping someone," he said softly, lifting her into his arms. He kissed the top of her head. "But now I'm home. All is safe." Leela giggled. "You always say that, but then weird stuff happens." Mark smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Well, life is full of surprises, kiddo. That's why we always stay ready." As he set her down, he couldn't shake the thought of the drone and its design. It was not just a random incident. It was deliberate. Someone powerful wanted to test something dangerous, and the fact that it had targeted Emma Raines was no accident. Mark went to his small workstation and started reviewing encrypted reports and news feeds. He didn't expect the world to notice him, but he always stayed one step ahead. There were patterns in chaos, and he had learned to read them like a map. Back in the city, Emma returned to her office, her mind racing. She activated the security feed from the skywalk cameras, hoping for a clear image of her mysterious savior. The footage showed a blur of motion, and then nothing. He had disappeared completely, leaving only the memory of his actions. Emma leaned back in her chair, her fingers tapping the desk. Something about him stayed in her mind, the way he had moved, the way he had thought ahead. He was human, yet he seemed to possess a clarity and instinct that few could match. She realized, with a thrill she hadn't felt in years, that humans like him were rare. And rare humans, she thought, could change the course of events in ways machines never could. Night fell over Neo-Tokyo. The city lights glimmered like 1,000 stars fallen to Earth. Somewhere in the crowd, Mark Hale moved quietly, his mind alert, his heart focused on the most important mission of all, keeping his daughter safe. And somewhere, in a high-rise office filled with screens and blinking lights, Emma Raines plotted her next move, determined to find the man who had vanished like a shadow but left a lasting impact on her life. The city pulsed with energy, full of secrets, danger, and opportunity. And as the night deepened, two lives, one ordinary, one extraordinary, had unknowingly become connected. Neither knew how this connection would unfold, but the thread had been cast. And in a city that never slept, anything was possible. The morning light seeped through the towering windows of Rainstech, illuminating rows of sleek desks and glowing holographic screens. The city outside buzzed with life, but inside the high-rise, a tense energy filled the office. Emma Raines sat at her desk, her sharp eyes scanning multiple feeds on the screen in front of her. Every frame from the Skywalk surveillance cameras was analyzed, paused, zoomed, and enhanced. She was determined to find a clue about the man who had saved her. Emma's assistant, Jordan, hovered nearby, anxious and unsure. "Emma, you've been staring at these feeds for hours," he said. "Maybe we should take a break." Emma didn't look away. "There's no break, Jordan. Whoever this man is, he's not ordinary. Look at how he moved, how he reacted. That was not luck. That was planning, anticipation." "I need to find him," Jordan frowned. "You really think he'll want to be found? He didn't even stay to. He saved my life," Emma interrupted, her voice firm. "I want to thank him, and I want to know why he disappeared like that. People like him, they don't exist without a reason." Jordan sighed, realizing he wasn't going to change her mind. Emma Raines never gave up when she was determined. Meanwhile, across the city, Mark Hale was already at his modest apartment, preparing breakfast for his daughter, Leela. The small apartment was filled with warmth, a stark contrast to the cold, bustling city outside. Leela's laughter echoed in the kitchen as she tried to pour cereal but kept spilling it. "Careful, Leela," Mark said, smiling as he cleaned up the mess. "We're going to start the day with a mess, huh?" Leela giggled, her eyes sparkling. "Dad, you always say we're ready for surprises, but we're not ready for serial disasters." Mark laughed, ruffling her hair. But behind his warm smile, his mind was alert. He had reviewed the drone incident multiple times. Its design, its behavior, everything pointed to deliberate testing. Someone was targeting Emma Raines, and it was not random. He glanced at his small monitor, where encrypted news reports and feeds scrolled. He couldn't let Emma know about everything he had discovered. His role was simple: keep people safe without drawing attention. But he needed to be ready. The city was changing, and technology alone could not solve every problem. Humans like him, humans like Emma, rare, clever, unpredictable, were still the ones who made a difference. Back at Rain's deck, Emma made a decision. "Jordan, I want our top security and tech analysts working on this. Every surveillance camera in Neo-Tokyo, every traffic drone, every smart sensor, find him. I don't care how long it takes." Jordan raised an eyebrow. "Every camera." That's impossible." Emma's gaze was unwavering. "Nothing is impossible when it matters. He saved my life. That is enough reason. Start now." The team scrambled, coordinating feeds, running algorithms, analyzing the crowd from multiple angles. Every detail mattered: the way he moved, the direction he went, the items he touched. Emma watched over their shoulders, occasionally offering insight that surprised the analysts. She was brilliant in her field, not only in business but in strategy, and it showed in her ability to see patterns where others saw noise. Hours passed, but the man remained invisible. Emma's curiosity grew into fascination. Who was he? How did he know exactly what to do in that moment of chaos? And why did he vanish so completely? Meanwhile, Mark and Leela stepped outside for a morning walk. The city was alive with sounds: the hum of flying cars, distant sirens, and chatter from early commuters. Leela held her father's hand tightly. "Dad," she asked, "do you think people like the man from yesterday really exist?" Mark froze slightly, his mind alert. "What man?" "The one who saved that lady," Leela said innocently. "You know, the one who disappeared." Mark's eyes narrowed subtly. "Leela, not everyone is what they seem. Some people do things and move on. They don't need attention or praise, they just act." Leela nodded thoughtfully. "I guess that's brave." Mark smiled faintly. "Yes, bravery is quiet sometimes. And sometimes it is loud in ways people don't notice." That afternoon, Emma called a private meeting with her head of security, Captain Ryo Tanaka. The office was small, with a few monitors showing live feeds from around the city. Emma's hands rested on the desk, her posture commanding. "Captain Tanaka," she began, "I need your team to find him. Whoever he is, he has skills that we cannot ignore. He's unpredictable, resourceful, and I suspect he could be a threat if left unchecked, or an ally if we find him first." Tanaka raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, I understand, but he doesn't appear in any databases, no records, no IDs, nothing. It's as if he doesn't exist. Emma leaned forward, her voice low but firm. That's exactly why I need him. He's the kind of human resource no machine or AI can replicate. Find him, Captain. I don't care how long it takes. Meanwhile, Mark had returned home after the walk. Leela was now drawing in her sketchbook, her small hands moving quickly as she created colorful patterns. Mark sat on the couch, sipping coffee, his mind still on the drone incident. He didn't know it yet, but the city had begun to notice the impact of his actions. Emma Raines had mobilized resources that could rival the entire city's security network. But that was her nature, determined, relentless, and brilliant. Mark's instincts told him to stay hidden. If he revealed himself too soon, things could spiral out of control. But he also felt a quiet admiration for the woman he had saved. There was something about her intelligence and resolve that reminded him of why humans were extraordinary. They could adapt, solve problems, and make choices that machines could not. The quiet evening passed with simple routines: dinner, homework, bedtime stories. Leela fell asleep and Mark sat by the window looking out at the neon city below. He thought about Emma Raines. She was powerful, yes, but also intelligent, ethical, and unpredictable. He respected that. He respected her as a human, not just as a CEO, and that respect would guide his next decisions. The next morning, Neo-Tokyo was buzzing with news. The drone incident had gone viral, captured on personal devices and uploaded to the city's network. News anchors speculated about the mysterious savior, calling him a ghost hero. People debated theories. Was he an ex-agent, a vigilante, or just an ordinary man with extraordinary luck? Emma watched the reports in her office, her expression thoughtful. "Ghost hero," she murmured. "That's not luck, that's skill, and I will find him." Across the city, Mark read similar reports online while pretending to research city news. He felt a flicker of amusement at the nickname Ghost Hero, but he knew the truth. He was not a hero seeking fame. His life revolved around protecting his daughter, and everything else was secondary. But even he couldn't ignore the pattern forming in the city. Whoever had sent the drone would not stop with a single test. The attack was deliberate, and it was likely a part of a larger plan. He had to stay ready, stay alert, and anticipate the next move. Later that week, Emma intensified her investigation. She deployed analysts to map every possible escape route the man could have taken, every street, alley, and underground passage. She accessed city transport feeds, tracking unusual movements. Every detail was cross-referenced with databases of former operatives, ex-military personnel, and anyone with known unconventional skills. And yet, there was still nothing. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. Emma's frustration grew, but so did her admiration. Humans like him, rare, intelligent, instinctive, reminded her why she trusted her own instincts. Machines could analyze data, predict outcomes, and even fight in combat simulations, but they could never replicate creativity, intuition, and ethical judgment. In the shadows, Mark watched the city, knowing he was being observed. He sensed Emma's determination even without seeing her. There was something extraordinary about her persistence, her refusal to rely solely on technology. For the first time, he wondered if perhaps their paths would cross again, not by chance but by design. That night, Neo-Tokyo shimmered under the neon glow. Crowds moved like rivers, drones hummed in the air, and the city seemed alive with energy. Mark sat on his balcony, Leela asleep beside him, and thought about the choices humans made every day. He thought about courage, intuition, and morality, the qualities that defined humans in a world dominated by machines. And somewhere in a high-rise, Emma Raines stared at the same city, thinking of the man who had disappeared like a shadow but left an imprint she could not ignore. Two lives, separate yet connected by fate, had begun a silent dance. One would remain hidden, the other relentless. But both shared a truth. Humans, when faced with chaos and danger, were extraordinary. And in Neo-Tokyo, extraordinary humans were about to change everything. The city of Neo-Tokyo never truly rested. Even late at night, lights glowed, machines hummed, and people moved like flowing water through the streets. But beneath the calm surface, tension was growing. Something unseen was shifting, and both Emma Rains and Mark Hale could feel it. Emma stood in the main operations room of Rainstack. Giant screens covered the walls, filled with data streams, maps, and security alerts. Engineers and analysts moved quickly, their voices low but urgent. Emma's expression was calm, but her mind worked fast. "Status report," she said. Captain Tanaka stepped forward. "We've detected unusual activity near Orbital Platform 7. Small system tests, energy spikes, and unauthorized data pings. Someone is probing our defenses." Emma crossed her arms. "Not random." "No," Tanaka replied. "Too careful, too controlled." Emma nodded slowly. She remembered the drone. This felt the same. Someone was testing limits, learning reactions, preparing for something bigger. "Increase human oversight," Emma said. "I want people watching these systems, not just AI." One of the analysts hesitated. "Ma'am, the AI can process." "I know what AI can do," Emma said calmly but firmly. "But humans see things machines miss. Patterns, intent, emotions. Do it." The team obeyed without argument. Deep inside, Emma felt a strange thought return to her mind: the man from the skywalk. The way he had moved, acted, decided. He had trusted instinct over data, and he had been right. Across the city, Mark Hale sat at his small workstation while his daughter Leela slept in the next room. The room was dim, lit only by a single screen. Lines of encrypted information scrolled quietly as Mark studied them. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp. "Orbital Platform 7, he leaned back slightly. "Too soon," he muttered. Mark recognized the pattern: small tests, quiet signals, controlled pressure. This was how larger operations began. The drone attack had not been about killing Emma immediately. It had been about watching responses. He rubbed his face and exhaled slowly. "I hoped I was wrong," he whispered. Mark had spent years learning how powerful groups moved when they wanted control. Technology made them bold, but it also made them predictable. They trusted machines too much. Mark did not. He checked another feed and frowned. A subtle timing issue. A signal delay that AI systems would correct automatically without question. But a human would ask why. "Someone's trying to blind the watchers," Mark said quietly. He looked toward Leela's room. His jaw tightened. "I can't ignore this." The next day, Emma arrived early at Rainstack. She barely slept, her thoughts filled with risk calculations and possible outcomes. Orbital Platform 7 was critical. Thousands of people worked and lived there. She stood before the window, looking out over the city. "If someone hits that platform," she said to herself, "it won't be a warning, it will be a message." Jordan entered quietly. "Emma, we have something strange." She turned. "Show me." Jordan brought up a display. "Someone corrected a system imbalance last night, quietly. No official authorization, no traceable ID." Emma leaned closer. "Corrected how?" Jordan swallowed. "Better than our automated systems. Whoever did it anticipated the failure before it happened." Emma's heartbeat quickened. "That was AI," she said softly. "No," Jordan replied. "It was." Emma straightened. "He's watching," she said. Jordan blinked. "Who?" "The man who saved me." Mark watched from a distance that night. He didn't approach Rainstack. He didn't hack directly. He only nudged systems gently, correcting things before they could be used, like adjusting stones before an avalanche. He worked quietly, carefully, leaving no signature, but Emma noticed. She sat in the control room studying changes that should not exist. Every fix showed creativity, improvisation, human thought. "He's here," she said. Captain Tanaka nodded slowly. "Yes. And whoever he is, he's helping us." Emma exhaled. "Or protecting something." The real threat revealed itself 2 days later. An alert rang out across Rainstack. Unauthorized AI activation detected. Engineers rushed to their stations. Emma moved instantly, her mind clear. "What kind of AI?" she asked. "A combat control hybrid," someone replied. "Not ours." Screens filled with red warnings. Orbital Platform 7 systems began behaving strangely, doors cycling, sensors feeding false data, defense protocols activating without cause. Someone was trying to cause panic. Emma's voice cut through the noise. Manual override teams now switched to human control, but the I don't care," Emma said. "Turn it off." Lights flickered as systems changed modes. Across the city, Mark felt it immediately. His screen lit up with warning signals. "They're pushing," he said. He didn't hesitate. Mark grabbed his jacket, checked on Leela one last time, and left a quiet message for a trusted neighbor. Then he disappeared into the night. Orbital Platform 7 floated above the Earth like a shining crown. Inside, workers felt something was wrong. Doors hesitated. Lights dimmed. Screens showed conflicting instructions. Emma boarded a transport without hesitation. "Ma'am, it's dangerous," Tanaka said. "That's why I'm going," Emma replied. She refused to command from safety. Mark arrived at a maintenance access point far from the main docks. He moved like a shadow, avoiding cameras, blending with technicians. No one noticed the quiet man with the calm eyes. He reached a control node and connected a simple device. "Let's see what you're really doing," he whispered. The enemy AI was powerful, fast, confident, but it expected opposition from other machines, not a human mind. Mark didn't fight it directly. He confused it. Fed it contradictions, created situations that required judgment instead of calculation. The AI slowed. "Good," Mark said. "Now think." It couldn't. Emma reached the central control chamber. Engineers looked relieved to see her. "The AI is losing coordination," one said. "Something or someone is interfering." Emma smiled slightly. "I know." She activated an emergency broadcast. "This is Emma Rains. All personnel remain calm. Follow human instructions only. Ignore automated prompts unless verified." People listened. Humans trusted humans. The rival force made one last move. A surge aimed at destabilizing the platform's orbit controls. Mark saw it coming. He rerouted power manually, burning out his device. The surge failed. The platform stabilized. Silence followed. Emma felt it. The tension released like a held breath. "We're stable," Tanaka said, disbelief in his voice. Cheers spread through the room. Emma didn't cheer. She looked at the system logs. "There," she said quietly. "That gap, that hesitation, that was him." Mark left before anyone noticed. He didn't wait for thanks. He didn't wait for recognition. He went home. Leela ran to him as soon as he entered. "Dad, you're late." He knelt and hugged her tightly. "I know, I'm sorry." She looked up at him. "Did you save someone again?" Mark smiled softly. "Maybe." Back in her office, Emma stood alone, looking at the city. "He crossed a line," she said to herself. "For people, not profit, not power." She made a decision. "Find him," she whispered. Not to use him, not to control him, but to understand him. Because now she knew the truth. The greatest threat in the future was not machines, and the greatest defense was not technology. It was humans who refused to disappear. The city lights of Neo-Tokyo reflected like diamonds on the glass walls of Rainstack's towering headquarters. Inside, the air was thick with anticipation and tension. Emma Rain stood before her team, her sharp eyes scanning the screens that displayed live feeds of the city. "We've stabilized the platform," she said, her voice calm but firm. "But the AI attack was not random. Whoever did this knows us, and they are testing limits." Captain Tanaka leaned forward. "Ma'am, I suggest we increase security for all critical operations. No personnel outside authorized zones, no remote access without clearance." Emma nodded. "Do it. But also I want him found." Tanaka raised an eyebrow. "Him, the ghost hero." Emma's gaze was steady. "Yes, whoever saved the platform last night, He is human. He is thinking ahead, and if someone like him is out there, we need to know why and if we can trust him." Tanaka hesitated. He had seen Emma's fascination grow over the past few days. This was not just curiosity. This was a determination bordering on obsession. Emma ignored him and turned back to the screens. Somewhere in the city, Mark Hale moved quietly, unaware that he was being watched, not by machines, but by human eyes, patient and calculating. Mark walked through an empty service corridor near the orbital transport station. His steps were silent, careful. The city seemed almost asleep around him, yet he knew danger never truly slept. Neo-Tokyo was a city of constant movement, and chaos could strike anywhere. He paused near a security camera, slipping into a shadow. His mind raced through the events of the past days. The drone attack, the AI tests, the orbital platform incident. Everything pointed to a single conclusion. Someone powerful was planning something bigger. And somehow, Emma Raines was in the center of it. Mark didn't know her personally, but he had observed her from afar. The way she acted, the decisions she made, she was rare. Not only brilliant, but ethical. Unlike others he had encountered in his past life, she didn't chase power blindly. She valued human judgment. That made her dangerous to the enemy and valuable as an ally. But Mark never made allies lightly. Emma, meanwhile, had traced multiple sightings of the man over the past week. Every time he intervened, every time he acted to protect people or systems, he left no trace. Yet Emma could feel his presence, like a shadow stretching across the city. She decided to confront him directly. She left the office quietly, leaving Jordan and her security team with instructions to monitor all city feeds. She wanted no interference, no security detail to scare him away. Emma chose a location near one of the city's busy night markets. It was crowded, full of neon signs, chatter, and vendors selling all sorts of goods, perfect for someone who wanted to vanish in a crowd. She waited patiently, watching, listening, sensing. Mark arrived at the market from an alleyway, moving cautiously. He was aware of the increased activity in the city, the subtle changes in surveillance patterns, and he sensed the woman was nearby before he saw her. He paused, assessing the situation. His instincts told him that this was not a random meeting. Someone wanted to engage him, and then he saw her. Emma stood near a food stall, her posture relaxed but alert. Her sharp eyes scanned the crowd, searching for something or someone. The glow of the neon signs highlighted her features, making her look both approachable and intimidating. Mark considered retreating, but something in her presence told him this was different. She was not a threat. Not yet. He stepped forward slowly, blending with the crowd. Emma noticed him immediately. Her sharp intuition had never failed. He was moving deliberately, carefully, yet he could not hide his awareness of her. Their eyes met. Mark stopped a few feet away, his face calm but guarded. "You've been looking for me," he said quietly, not as a question but as a statement. Emma smiled slightly. "I have. You saved my life, and I think we might need each other." Mark's eyes narrowed slightly. "We might," Emma nodded. "I don't know who is behind these attacks, but they are smart, organized, and dangerous. I've seen the patterns, and I've seen you, how you act, how you think. I trust your instincts more than any AI or system we have." Mark studied her carefully. He could feel her honesty. Her confidence, her brilliance. She was rare like him, but she was also relentless. That made her dangerous in ways he had to respect. "Why do you want me?" he asked finally. "Because I need to understand," she said, "and because this isn't just about me. It's about the people who live and work in this city and maybe even beyond it. I can't do it alone." Mark looked at her silently for a long moment, then he nodded slightly. "All right," he said, "but I'm not joining your company. I'm not a tool, I help people. And I disappear when the work is done." Emma's eyes softened slightly. "I don't want to control you. I just want to make sure you're not working alone against something you can't handle." Mark considered her words. She was honest. She was human. And in his experience, humans who acted like that were rare and trustworthy. Their uneasy alliance began that night. Emma provided information, access to systems, and knowledge of potential threats. Mark provided skill, intuition, and rapid, creative problem-solving that machines could never replicate. They worked from separate locations, exchanging encrypted messages and carefully planned interventions. Each success brought them closer, though neither admitted it openly. Days passed. Their actions began to interfere with the enemy's plans. Every attempt to sabotage or manipulate was countered by either Mark's interventions or Emma's human oversight. The enemy, whoever they were, had underestimated one thing: human unpredictability. AI could anticipate patterns, predict behavior, and react with speed, but it could not improvise with creativity and morality. Mark and Emma were unpredictable. One evening, while monitoring the city from a private observation room, Emma noticed an unusual pattern. "Mark," she said quietly into her communicator, "something is moving near the northern industrial zone, not like before, larger, more organized." Mark's voice came back, calm but alert. "I see it. It's the first direct move. They're testing human response now, not AI response." Emma frowned. "They're bold, too bold." "Agreed," Mark said. "We need to intervene before it escalates." Within minutes, both of them were in motion. Emma coordinated human teams to secure critical areas. Mark moved through shadows, dismantling automated traps, intercepting drones, and rerouting systems. The enemy had escalated, but the humans were faster, smarter, and more adaptive. Finally, the two met again briefly at a logistics hub. Mark had intercepted a transport carrying advanced AI weapons. Emma arrived to ensure the area was safe and to monitor civilian safety. They worked silently, side by side, moving efficiently. The enemy was closing in, but they were always one step ahead. After the last transport was secured, Mark stepped back, wiping sweat from his forehead. Emma studied him carefully. "You're remarkable," she said. Mark shrugged lightly. "I do what needs to be done." Emma nodded. "I know, and that's why we need each other. Humans like you, humans like me, we make the difference." Mark didn't answer. He knew she was right, but he also knew that trust came slowly and he could not let his guard down completely. That night, as Neo-Tokyo glittered beneath them, both looked out over the city. Emma spoke softly, almost to herself. "We can't let them win." Mark's eyes scanned the horizon. "They won't, not if humans stay unpredictable, not if humans stay careful." Emma turned to him, her expression serious. "Careful isn't enough anymore. We have to act." Mark nodded. "Then we act, together but carefully, always carefully." And for the first time, Emma felt a flicker of hope. Not because of machines, not because of AI, but because of humans. Imperfect, unpredictable, courageous humans. The enemy had begun to reveal themselves and the city's fate hung in balance. But in the shadows, two humans prepared to face what came next. They were not invincible. They were not machines. But they were clever, determined, and utterly human. And in a world dominated by technology, that made all the difference. The city of Neo-Tokyo was alive with energy, but the tension was thicker than the neon lights. Every street, alley, and skywalk hummed with activity, but beneath it all, danger was moving. Whoever had orchestrated the drone attack, the AI sabotage, and the attempted orbital disruption had now revealed their true intent. Emma Raines stood in the command center of Rainstech, her fingers resting lightly on the console. Her eyes scanned the monitors showing the orbital platform, its lights glowing like a crown above the city. Thousands of lives depended on the platform's stability: workers, engineers, and civilians aboard transport modules. "This is it," she whispered. "If they succeed, Neo-Tokyo won't just lose technology, people will die." Captain Tanaka approached. "Ma'am, we have confirmation. Multiple AI-controlled units are heading toward the platform. They're equipped with weapons and sabotage protocols." Emma's jaw tightened. "Then we act." Not tomorrow, not later, now. Far below, in the shadowed streets of Neo-Tokyo, Mark Hale prepared for his part. His backpack was full of improvised tools, communication devices, and portable hacking equipment. Every piece of gear had a purpose. Every action had a calculated risk. He glanced at the night sky, the orbital platform shining above like a distant star. His mind ran through scenarios, anticipating AI moves and human reactions. "This ends tonight," he murmured. "One way or another." Mark moved through maintenance tunnels that led close to the platform's main access points. His steps were silent, careful, blending with the hum of machines and the faint echoes of the city above. Emma activated the city-wide alert, coordinating human teams on the platform and in surrounding areas. "All personnel," she announced over secure channels, "follow verified human instructions only. Ignore AI commands. This is not a drill." Engineers and technicians complied, but fear lingered. Red lights flashed, sensors warned of anomalies, and the AI units were already moving with precision. Emma's gaze shifted to the command console, watching Mark's signal appear on her map. Though he was off the grid, she could sense his presence, the subtle adjustments, the corrections, the human intuition working faster than any algorithm. Mark reached the first AI blockade. Units patrolled the corridors, scanning for unauthorized movement. He ducked into a shadow, observing patterns and timing. The AI predicted most human behavior. Most humans would panic or hesitate. Mark was neither. He moved deliberately, silently neutralizing security drones with small magnetic disruptors, short-circuiting circuits, and improvising barricades that confused the enemy machines. Every action bought precious seconds. Every calculation prevented potential disaster. Emma coordinated from above, directing human teams to reinforce areas Mark could not reach. She noticed a pattern forming in the enemy's movements, a rhythm that could be exploited. She whispered into her communicator, "Mark, follow the left flank." "I see a blind spot near the energy junction." "I see it," he replied, voice calm but focused. "Cover your teams. I'll handle the machines." Together they orchestrated a delicate dance. Humans and one man against a fleet of machines. The AI had power, speed, and numbers, but humans had creativity, intuition, and courage. As Mark advanced, the AI launched a coordinated attack on the platform's control hub. Lights flickered, alarms blared, and systems began to lock down. Mark arrived at the hub moments later. He paused, scanning the interface. Automated defenses were in overdrive, expecting calculated moves and patterns. He did the unexpected. Mark rerouted power manually, bypassing AI protocols, and created a loop of false signals. The AI could not adapt. It had been designed to predict patterns, not human improvisation. Sparks flew, lights flashed, and then silence. The system stabilized. Emma's team cheered quietly in the control room. She didn't. She knew the danger was not fully over. The enemy would respond, and the final moves would come soon. Minutes later, an explosion rocked the platform's lower decks. The AI had deployed a new attack, faster and more aggressive. Emma froze for a heartbeat, then activated a countermeasure. "Teams, redirect power to stabilizers." "Mark, now." Mark acted instantly. He moved through narrow service corridors, accessing the platform's main power conduits. With improvised tools, he rerouted energy, cutting off the AI attack just before it reached critical systems. The platform trembled but held. The enemy's final move came in the form of drones carrying hacking devices directly aimed at the control tower. Emma's teams were ready. She and Mark watched the movements on separate screens, coordinating without direct contact. Mark intercepted the drones mid-flight, using a combination of electromagnetic pulses and quick improvisation. He threw a magnetic disruptor, sending one drone crashing into the side of the platform. Another he guided into a trap he set moments before. Emma directed the human teams to secure the remaining units. The AI's network began to falter under the combined pressure of human ingenuity and quick thinking. Finally, the chaos subsided. The orbital platform stabilized completely. The AI units were neutralized, either destroyed or contained. The city breathed a collective sigh of relief, though few knew how close disaster had come. Emma stood alone for a moment in the control room, staring at the screens. She thought of the man who had saved the platform, the city, and countless lives. "He did this," she whispered. "Not machines, humans." Mark had already disappeared, leaving the platform just as quietly as he had arrived. He returned home, slipping into the shadows of the city, careful to avoid recognition. When he entered his apartment, Leela ran to him, eyes wide. "Dad, you were gone forever," she exclaimed. Mark knelt and hugged her tightly. "I'm here. All is safe." Leela studied him curiously. "Did you save someone again?" Mark smiled softly, brushing her hair from her face. "Maybe," he said, and ruffled her hair gently. "But that's enough for today. Let's have dinner." Meanwhile, in her office, Emma reviewed the final logs of the orbital platform incident. Every action, every correction, every improvisation was there. She understood now. Machines were powerful, yes, but humans, creative, courageous, and adaptive humans, were capable of things machines could never do. She leaned back, thinking of Mark Hale, the single dad who had disappeared into the crowd without a word. She didn't know his story, and perhaps she never would. But she knew this. He had reminded her why humans mattered in a world dominated by technology. The following day, Emma implemented new policies at Rainstack. Human oversight became mandatory for all critical operations. Machines could assist, but humans would always make the final decisions. She walked through the city, observing the people, the lights, the energy, and smiled. The world had changed, but the human spirit remained unbroken. Mark watched the same city from a quiet street, unseen, blending into life's ordinary moments. He did not seek recognition or fame. He only knew that humans could adapt, improvise, and act with courage when it mattered most. Somewhere in the bustling streets, Emma might notice him again, or perhaps their paths would never cross. But the connection existed now, a thread between two humans who understood the extraordinary power of ordinary courage. Neo-Tokyo shimmered beneath the evening sky, alive with technology, yet held together by something far more enduring. Human ingenuity, human courage, human morality. Mark Hale returned to his quiet life with Leela, the world none the wiser of the silent guardian who had saved them. Emma Raines continued to lead, wiser, more respectful of the human factor, and inspired to value the creativity and courage that no machine could ever replace. And somewhere in the vast city, the ghost of a single dad walked quietly among the people, proving that ordinary humans could perform extraordinary deeds, shaping the future in ways no one could predict.